Welcome back, Pack, to another episode of Speak Now. Your host, Jay Wolf, here as always, joined by Eli. A little bit later in the week episode than normal, but we are getting it done regardless. We had Thursday Night Football last night, Broncos Raiders, low scoring affair. Completely forgot to make my pick for that, so would have picked the Raiders, but now I'm even further behind you guys in the picks, Eli. So I that makes some people want to rant. I'm not going to rant, but we do have some rants coming up from you. We need to figure out like a name for this segment. Like, I don't know, Wayne's World, Wayne's Rants. Who knows?
Something like that. We'll figure something out. I have them daily, so at this point it's just a recurring thing. I have them like right after we shoot the previous episode too. It's not even like it takes me long to find something new.
Well,
I have four. I have four this week.
four. Oh, this is gonna be good.
That
Well, I'm loving the setup. You got the Giannis, you got the Stone Cold, you got the Tigers Stadium. Like,
yeah, we're back in the old stomping grounds, so it's all the old relics in here.
nice, nice. Well, without further ado, give us your first rant of the week.
My first one is probably the lightest one. I just for me, as a Lions fan, after watching the press conferences yesterday, I'm personally not very happy with John Morton at the moment. It's not a super long rant because I don't want to be that fan that just instantly says fire somebody after a bad week. However, because of the past and how this guy had issues with the Jets, or the Jet, I believe it was the Jets previously. Under Todd Bowles when he was the coach regarding just player relationships. And now he kind of calls out his offensive line, says his schemes were perfect. To me, that doesn't fit what the Lions have kind of built and how like just take accountability. That's kind of the whole Lions motto right now. So that's my thing with John Morton right now. Not a big fan of how he operates right now. Uh, I don't know. I think for him to say his schemes were good when the Lions have had their most inconsistent offense since 2021, 2022, I think that's a little I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him saying that. I don't know if you have a ton of thoughts on that, but that's my first one. It's my most mellow one, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of thoughts, but I think one thing that for me sticks out is I think it's usually a bad look when a coach is saying stuff like that. Not all the time. I think sometimes it is warranted. But I think it's especially bad from like a first year, like he's the first year in the role for the Lions. Like this is like these guys all have like Goff, Sewell, Gibbs, Monty, St. Brown, JMO. Like these guys all have continuity with the Lions in this offense that extends longer than Morton's tenure as offensive coordinator for the Lions. And so that to me is like he's almost in the position where he needs to prove himself to these guys. Like it is not the other way around. Like these guys are established pros, like all pros, like future Hall of Famers potentially with some of these guys. So it's like, yeah, I think that to me rubs me the wrong way. Like if this is someone like a Mike Tomlin, where Mike Tomlin's been there for like 20 years, saying stuff like this makes sense. Like okay, that's more warranted. If it's someone like a Sean McVay, someone like a Kyle Shanahan, um, I'm just trying to, or even like someone like to go back to the coordinator aspect, someone like a Steve Spagnuolo calling out his defensive players. Like Steve Spagnuolo has been in that role, has had much success in that role with the Chiefs for a while now. Like that to me makes more sense than than the coach taking shots at his players. Like I don't know, and I feel like
Well,
even when you hear coaches do this, they always temper it with like there's something that they can be doing better too. Like I think it's very rare that the coach just completely deflects like that.
yeah, because like obviously the blocking was not great by any means whatsoever. Like if you watch that game, you could tell, especially in like the interior part of the defensive or interior part of the offensive line, they let the interior defenders cause a lot of pressure on Goff, which Goff didn't have much time. But I think John Morton could have done better at the schemes, as the blockers could have done their pass blocking was the specific and run blocking for that matter. It was essentially blocking in general, schemes and players. Then also, I think John Morton could do a better job of scheming up easier, easier outlets for Goff, especially on these plays where you know there's pressure coming. I just feel like they don't have these, they have very slow developing pass plays right now, just watching the game. So I think that stems my frustration for him. But I tend to be an optimist. So I'm never going to say fire John Morton yet. But I mean, if you see that for a couple of weeks, I do think stripping play calling duties could be in the possibility, but I think that's still a month out. But it was like a very small thing that I think just locker room wise, I think should be shored up. Uh, but I think that this is a twofer. They're both on Tom Brady.
Mm.
Um, for one, Tom Brady called the Lions game this past week. The second one, I do wonder if you did see this headline, but watching like with Fox and all their talent they have now that with with Mark Sanchez now seemingly gone and they have Drew Brees stepping into his role, which I love. I think Drew Brees is fantastic in an analyst role. And then Greg Olson. I understand why it's Tom Brady. So if you have the ability to make him a color guy and have him on your top games, awesome. I don't think he's ready for these big games and these big moments. Like listening to him talk about football, he knows football, but he can't talk about football in a good way watching the game. Where I'd almost prefer to watch it on mute sometimes. He puts great insight sometimes. Like how many quarterbacks can you have inside the booth and doing color commentary that have won 7 Super Bowls? Like he's seen it all. But I listened to Greg Olson. Greg Olson in his game was talking about all the different strategies that these teams could have done. And he did the Carolina and the Green Bay game, and he talked about how why Carolina chose to be on this side in the first half because of the wins in the second half for game-winning field goal. You don't hear Tom Brady talking about any of these analytical type things. He's talking about just very basic game stuff. I think Greg Olson's the best color commentator in all of football. And so I think of my upsetting is I'm upset that he went from the number one role of calling Super Bowls to getting taken down to number two and winning broadcaster awards just to get brought down. I think that's unfair for seventh floor crew member Greg Olson. But then my second gripe that made me just not like Tom Brady as much this week, and I do like him for aspects like he's the GOAT, and I liked him as a player. Did you see him cloning his dog?
Yeah.
His dog. It might be one of the more absurd. Sometimes I look at society, I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I wish I could go to like back when I was 10 years old and I didn't have to read stuff like this. Him saying he loves his dog so much, he can't let him go, that he clones dogs' DNA to go to a new dog has to be an all-time low for us as a society. You're telling me we're starting the cloning process. This is a slippery slope, Jonathan. It's a really slippery slope, and I have concerns after reading this. For one, I love Wayne to death. I don't want a second Wayne. That ruins the whole character of him. I don't want a second cat that's like just reminds me just of my old one. Like, don't get me wrong. Like we love our pets, and especially those pets we're super tied to. But then just replicating them, there's no character ties to it anymore. It's like we're going into Fahrenheit, like we're going into the Fahrenheit days. Like Big Brother's going to start watching over us. I'm sick of this.
Okay, well, question for you. Would you
It's absurd.
clone Wayne if it's like the same personality and everything? Like you cannot tell the difference. It's basically just Wayne extended.
No, because I'm a firm believer that when it's time, it's time. It's like when the time has passed where somebody's lived and fulfilled their full life. I'm okay with that. It's time for them. It's their time on this world has passed. For me to say that we're just going to keep cloning things, like at this point, the Cowboys might call up these people and clone Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones probably called them themselves to try and get himself cloned so he can make a bunch of boneheaded trades at the trade deadline still. Like at this rate, I honestly think Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones will never stop owning an NFL team if we're going to start to get down this route. Not that that'll actually happen, but the cloning thing, I'm not a fan. I like we got AI, we got cloning now. Like,
Well,
we're
would
gonna
you
have flying
rather
cars soon.
they like do like the cryo chambers and freeze themselves until they can be like resurrected with technology? Like freeze their brains and stuff like that? Like Ted Williams?
I
I'm
don't,
pretty sure like
I
Ted
don't want
Williams
any,
did something like that.
I don't want any of that. Like, just get away with all this. Like, how do you look at it? Like, yeah, this is tough. No, I don't. I don't want these people to just keep getting reincarnated. I feel like that kind of hinders the beauty of life.
Well, I
It's
mean,
a life cycle.
well, honestly, though, the cloning is genius on Brady's part because, like, after his divorce with Giselle, if he's trying to like win over his kids and stuff like that, he can bring back like the childhood dog. Heck, he can even like clone Giselle, and now like their family's together again, and it's like this. Yeah, I mean, they won't know the difference.
I tell you what, there's this thing that can help him win over his kids. It's called cheddar, and he has plenty of it. So I don't think like with like I'm sorry, but his kids probably love him regardless. But I don't think them which I'm sure. I think their mom. I don't think he wants Giselle. I think he's doing just fine doing whatever he's doing now.
I mean,
I'm done with it.
he could even clone his kids if he wanted to. He just makes his own little family. Like he doesn't have to worry about things going on. It can be as perfect as he wants it to be.
We're
No,
running down a slippery slope right
yeah.
here.
I
No, I'm
wanted to explore that slippery slope just a little bit. But yeah, no, going back to the getting back on track, going back to like the broadcasting thing. Yeah, I mean, I will say I thought Tom Brady's best game last year calling games was actually the Super Bowl. Like I thought like here's something where this guy has way more knowledge of what it takes to win a Super Bowl, to be in a Super Bowl than anyone else. And I thought that was on display, at least in my opinion, for that game. I enjoyed his talk and his insights and stuff like that. And also kind of enjoyed when he started getting a little bit more excited about the game as he could tell Patrick Mahomes was not going to win and kind of like put a little damper on the GOAT
well.
conversations.
I do think that he does get excited. I do think my biggest gripe with him is I think it happened once. When the Lions had their field goal blocked, which was a big point in the game, he'll just go like, "Oh!" and he'll scream over whoever's doing play by play in the background. And their mics are like kind of similar. The color, I think color is generally a couple levels below, but it's like he grabs the mic and sticks it down his throat, and he goes, and I understand. It almost I'm watching this. It's like I'm watching an ASMR of somebody watching something awesome happen.
I will say, I think, and I've held this opinion for a while now. Yeah, not just in football, but like in broad spectrum of like American sports, the commentary is not as good as it used to be. Like because like you can't have people get like super excited for the sake of like not showing partiality. Dude, some of the most I just think back to some of like the most iconic like calls of like all time and how like creative they were, how energetic they were, and how much energy they had. And it's like. I want to get back to that. Like I like take me to like European like soccer, like how those guys, like those commentators get so into it. Like I want that in watching when I'm watching football or watching baseball or something like that. I want a little bit more a little bit more creativity, a little bit more stuff to it. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I enjoy JJ
I do
Watt. I
think
think JJ Watt's good. I enjoy Greg Olson.
yeah,
I enjoyed Tony
yeah.
Romo before they told him to basically like stop predicting every single play before it happens.
Well, I do think Drew Brees could be a really interesting addition. I think that's one. I think Drew Brees is one of the best football minds of this last 10 to 20 year stretch of the NFL. I think he could be a really nice addition just because I think he's so intelligent. I don't want to be like, oh, these kids forgot about Drew Brees. Like I'm not like only 20 years old. But I mean, I do think these kids forgot about Drew Brees. Like, I mean, this guy is top three. Did he get overtaken in passing yards? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was his passing yards record overtaken?
I think Brady has
I
it.
know he had.
Let me look real quick. We'll fill the dead air real quick. Uh, yeah, passing yards. Yeah, Brady has
I don't know.
passing yards.
Okay, yeah, I thought he did, but still, Drew Brees is second all time. I think he could be a really interesting addition for Fox. Because I think Fox generally does have the better duos compared to CBS. More often than not, just depends. I mean, I don't know. I think it's different because I think you with the Steelers probably watch CBS more compared to me with the Lions are on Fox,
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast things. Uh, but yeah, but I think I was more mad about the dog thing, to be completely honest. I think I just saw two Tom Brady things.
That was
Uh,
wild.
it's
Let's get a
bizarre.
new dog, dude.
I Yeah, you could just get the same exact like type of dog, which I don't know. Personally, I'm moving. I was so
That's some
upset
like
reading that. I
rich
shouldn't have.
people like utopian
Yeah, nah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like yeah, it's like I have too much money. I'm gonna do just random stuff with it. But
It's like the people that get like salmon sperm in their face to like make their skin look better.
yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like it's bizarre. But
Yeah.
I think my last one. I think we could end up tying it to talking about the conclusion of one season. Um, And for me, it's just reading about all the dialogue about after the Dodgers won their second World Series. For me, I think it really upsets me when they like, okay, baseball's ruined. I saw so much of that after the game this past Saturday. Like, oh, baseball, like this is just ruining baseball, this and that, like all the Dodgers, like, oh, here we go. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, so they must have beaten a team that like was completely disadvantaged, right? No, they're going against a top five payroll
Yep.
who is not like it's not that far below how much the Dodgers are paying. Funny enough, like the Dodgers still have homegrown talent playing in the World Series, um, which is they're primarily on their outfield. They're a very smart organization, and it's not like they've exactly dominated this stretch where they've had the players. They've won the last 2 years, and then they won a COVID shortened year. So when we're talking like all of the ruining baseball, all you have to do, they're the first team to go back to back since the turn of the century. Like this is
Yeah.
not that common in baseball. Like we're talking about all of these big markets are ruining baseball. It's almost like baseball is the most parody out of any of these big sports.
Oh,
Like we're
100%.
looking at how like I don't understand how we're having such tunnel vision on all the Dodgers. And you want to know why? It's because they were the team that were willing to pay the most to the greatest player that we will ever see. And that's the moral of the story. Because guess what? The Tigers have a rich enough owner to pay for Shohei Ohtani. They didn't. They could have paid more. And do I think he probably wanted to stay on the West Coast regardless? Probably. But the Blue Jays, they hosted him to the point where they had him in their city at one point. He left. So like these people complaining that teams, it's just teams that are simply don't do enough. Like I think both of us are fans of teams that don't do enough, and they
Yeah.
have owners that have more than enough money to pay. So if you're gonna point any fingers, you don't point at the owner that's willing to spend for his team to win championships and who has only won three, and before that had won forever. In which I do think they probably have a couple more years of competing. I do think you might see a downturn in the Dodgers kind of like how the Yankees are in this lull right now of kind of mediocrity once they make the playoffs. Pointed at the other owners, pointed at the Illiches, pointed at the Pirates owners who have the two best pitchers in all of baseball, and what have they done around them? And I think the Pirates can be in the same scenario as the Tigers are right now, where you're like, wow, we are in the last year of owning this player. What do we do? And like, if I don't know how I will forgive the Tigers if they manage to get nothing for Scooble and let him walk, or they trade him for a bag of chips. I'm terrified of it. But I think my main gripe is that people think the Dodgers are ruining baseball. If anything, these owners who have plenty of money are, and that you have all you have to do is look back 5 years to see that they are not running baseball because they were still spending just as much. And guess what? The Mets spent a ton of money this offseason.
Yep.
Look where they're at.
Well, yeah.
Money doesn't win games.
No, yeah,
It
no, it
just
doesn't. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that series was super winnable for the Blue Jays. Blue
they
Jays,
blew it. They
yeah, they blew
completely
it.
blew it.
Yeah, 100%. You are one win away going back to Rogers Center. Like, how do you not win one of those games? I understand losing to the Yama to Yamamoto in that game. But then Yamamoto. Okay, I've been wanting to like talk about this because, and unfortunately Steve is not on right now. But Steve, because Steve was the one that was when we were talking about Scooble, why like he's at 100 pitches, and I'm like, how do you not leave him in for like the seventh inning? of that game. They pull him, right? And and Steve was very much more on the like, well, he was at 100 pitches. Like, we just saw that in a winner take all game, who cares? Like Yamamoto still came out and pitched like several innings after pitching like the day before. Like who cares? And he still dominated. Like that's what winning teams do. It's like I'm not gonna fault the Dodgers because they were willing to put their best pitcher out on no rest to go clinch them World Series. Like that. And yeah, we talked about Shohei. I said it on this podcast when Shohei became a free agent that every single team in the majors should make an offer to Shohei. There's not a reason to not pursue Shohei because he is just like that valuable, and you will make that money back because of all the support you get from Japan. Like he's an icon there. He's like the icon there. Like, and yeah, you talk about the Pirates. It's such a misconception that the Pirates are a small market team because they're a small market team of their own doing. Like I get that Pittsburgh's not the biggest market in the world, but Bob Nutting's the 10th richest owner. Like they could be spending so much more. Yeah, and it'll be I I have like fake optimism that they will extend schemes long term, but I don't like in realism like they're probably not. And like that's horrible. Like Skeens could go down as the best pitcher in baseball history based on the start. Like obviously long ways to go, but just his start is up there with some of the best ever, and you're willing to let that go, and you're just gonna keep sucking. It's yeah, no, I this isn't like yeah, I'm not gonna blame the Dodgers because they're willing to spend more. I mean, for a long time that was the Yankees, and the Yankees yeah, we talked about their three-peat at the turn of the century, but then since then, what have they done? They won one World Series. And you have a bunch of Yankees fans that are super upset. The Yankees also before the 90s, like the mid 90s, early 2000s, hadn't won anything since like the 70s. So they have went through periods of time where they haven't been competitive. The Dodgers weren't hadn't done anything since the 80s before this stretch that they're on. Which yeah, I mean they are like I posted this on my Instagram story. They are 100% a dynasty now. Like after this win, because they have back-to-back World Series wins. They have the 2020 World Series win. They also have an appearance in 2018 and 2017 or 2020 yeah 2017
2017, because
yeah
16 was the Cubs.
yeah. So you have that's like what 5 World Series appearances in like the last 8 years, like that, yeah, that's a dynasty. 8 9 years, yeah, that's a dynasty right there. Even if they don't win anything else, I mean the Giants won 3 World Series and that in the 2010s, and that's a dynasty. So yeah, I'm willing to call them that, and yeah, they were willing to spend. They were willing, and honestly, also not going to fault them for smartly marketing themselves towards being appealing to Japanese players. I mean, you go get Shohei, you get Yamamoto, like you get Sasaki. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get one of these other guys that are coming over. Uh, so like they are setting themselves up, or yeah, just they're just willing to make those moves. And yeah, it doesn't just because they spend the money doesn't mean anything. But yeah, to your point, I mean, homegrown talent. I mean, Kershaw just retired. Look at Kershaw. Kershaw, in my opinion, is the greatest pitcher of all time. The 2.53 ERA in the era that he played in is ridiculous for his career. Like absolutely ridiculous. Like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's that. I mean, they're essentially their whole bullpen uh that was on the playoff roster was mainly just guys that have went through their roster the entire time. And then you have guys like Muncy, um, and Pages who are fully Dodgers through and through.
yeah,
Uh, but then there's also just, I mean, you look at like when you talk that the Dodgers have done well appealing to another nation who has a really rich baseball history. Think about the fumble that the Angels had in that scenario. I mean, if you're talking poorly run organizations, they had a guy who also, I mean, he was an MVP talent there. He won one
yeah.
there. Um, so I mean, if you're talking fails, if you want to blame anybody in this scenario, blame the Angels because they mismanaged it worse than anybody ever could have imagined.
They had Shohei and
Uh,
Mike Trout on the same team, and they didn't do anything.
yeah, that. I don't know why he even went there in the first place. That's a mystery in and of itself. But
Yeah, and I'm not gonna blame the Dodgers for like scooping up Mookie Betts because the Red Sox were willing to move on from Mookie Betts. Like just because the Red Sox weren't willing to pay Mookie, like that's stupid.
it's the same with the Braves too. I
Yeah,
mean,
with Freddie. Yeah,
it's not Freddie Freeman's not on a massive contract. I think people are like, oh, they have Freddie Freeman. He's not on this on this contract that these other superstars are signing. I mean, this guy took a decent deal, and it means it has to beg the question: what was the offer from the Braves after winning a World Series? They're like, there has to be something where it's like the Braves clearly screwed on that up in that scenario. They probably lowballed the heart and soul of that city uh, for something. I don't know because I think if the Braves gave Freddie Freeman a genuine offer, there's no way he leaves there. So you have to keep pointing to these other franchises that are disrespecting their stars or not or lowballing these once in a lifetime talents. And you have to point at them, be like, you're the one that's doing this because the one team is like, hey, you're not valued there. We'll take you in. We know how good you are. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's like the same thing's going to happen with Scooble. If the Illiches really lowballed Scooble as much as it's reported, I find that to be BS. I think John Heyman is up his arse right now in the stuff he's saying about Scooble, which thank goodness there's other reports coming out about baseball because I'm sick of John Heyman too. I don't think he knows squat about Scooble. We stand Jeff Passan. He's way better anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, if they mismanaged Scooble, I mean, it's just a recurring thing where you're like, oh, it's the same thing with Scherzer. You're like, oh, Scherzer's just a little too old for us to keep him here. And guess what he did? He won a couple Cy Youngs. Same with Verlander, but I kind of understood that one. That one was a little more like he asked out. Scherzer never asked out. Scherzer wanted a contract extension. You lowball him. Look what happens. You win a couple of things. So I don't want to. I think Scooble is a conversation we have in a couple months here, because I think that's when it kind of gets going in winter meetings. But I mean, you can't look at a guy's age when he wins two Cy Youngs in a row. But
Well, and like the most damning thing too about the whole Scherzer going talking about the Scherzer thing with Detroit, like Scherzer's gonna be a Hall of Famer who probably now wears a Nationals cap or just has no cap, but probably a Nationals cap, not a Tigers cap. It could have been a Tigers cap. That's insulting. That's embarrassing. If you're Detroit, but I mean, yeah, I mean, talking about the Dodgers, Blake Snell is another good example. Blake Snell, if he gets a longer contract, if someone actually just gives him a contract the previous offseason, he doesn't end up with the Dodgers. The Giants are like, all right, we're just gonna give you multi. No, dude couldn't get a contract, so then goes to the Dodgers the next year.
Teoscar Hernandez, the same thing, where he's like only a
Yeah,
year off of a 30 some home run season. They gave him a cheap, I think he got a 1 year deal initially, and now he has a little bit longer of a deal. I mean, you're looking at a guy who is just a year off of like a all-star season. He has one poor year, and you hand a guy to the Dodgers that you can slot in the five slot every day. I
yeah.
mean,
Glasnow was super injury prone before he came to the Dodgers. Still has struggled with injuries here and there, but like they've definitely taken risks and they've just hit. And yeah, I get it. It's recency fatigue of like this dominance. It's the same thing we see in the NFL with the Chiefs. Which like I think I'm much more like yeah, I have much more fatigue from the Chiefs than I do the Dodgers. It's because I just have never really hated the Dodgers as an organization. And because I also can remember when they weren't that great. Like I guess I can remember when the Chiefs weren't that great too. But I don't know. That it's good.
well, how can you hate Shohei too? Honestly, I don't think there's any way. Like I watch baseball and I'm excited when I watch the Dodgers. Like for the Chiefs, it's like okay, obviously they're great, but I think with the NFL, I think it's we've seen it before. Where like yeah, I mean we've seen Brady do it at a higher level in terms of dominance, and if the Chiefs get to that point in a couple more years, like yeah, and the NFL, I feel like there's MLB, there's less tendency for like bad calls. Like you try not to blame the refs too much, but there have been a couple instances. But I mean, baseball, you just watch Shohei Ohtani and these guys just go to work. I mean, I don't see how you can't be excited watching a guy hit 3 home runs and pitch scoreless game with like 10 strikeouts. I
Well,
don't know how.
in all honesty, like too, is like I think what we forget is really like throughout the 2010s, as the 2010s progressed, you saw a decline in baseball, and you saw like the NFL kind of like take like the dominant spot. You saw even NBA start to like get on the heels of MLB, and MLB had superstars, but like your best player was Mike Trout, who Mike Trout is an excellent player, future first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not the most marketable guy, like, which is fine. Like you're allowed to like be like who you are. Like I would hate for Mike Trout to be fake and feel like he needs to be super entertaining or whatever. But it's just like like baseball superstars didn't command a lot of attention like they had in like the 2000s or the 90s or in past decades. We were starting to see the decline, and now thanks largely to Shohei, baseball is relevant again. But like Shohei, I would argue, is the most exciting athlete in the world. Like he's definitely up there with in like the top five. Obviously, we just did our Mount Rushmore of greatest athletes, but if we were to do like current like most exciting athletes, I would assume that Shohei would be in all of our top fives, if not top threes, because it's outside of like a sport like soccer, which is international. Like like baseball is one of the most international sports, and Shohei is the face. So yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful for everything Shohei has done. I'm super grateful he went to the Dodgers because, yeah, in all honesty, the Angels aren't the most exciting or marketable team. The Dodgers are, and I think it's good for baseball. Even if he had went to like the Yankees, like, that kind of would have been a little bit annoying, but still, like more marketable, more iconic. Like it just is. Like Yankees have 27 World Series. Dodgers now have 9. Dodgers are tied with the Red Sox and the Athletics for the third most World Series wins now. Like they are one of the most iconic franchises in baseball history. So, and I think it makes for like just good for the sport where you have Shohei on the West Coast, Judge on the East Coast, AL, NL. Like that's such a cool like. I don't know if people would consider that a rivalry. I kind of consider that a rivalry. I think that's pretty cool. And obviously, Dodgers Yankees are a long time
Yeah,
rivalry.
yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of a rivalry just because like I feel like the Red Sox and Yankees have kind of died down in recent years of it being as big of a rivalry as it was in like say like the late 2000s, early 2010s when that was kind of the peak. Now it's kind of baseball needs a good rivalry, so I do think that's probably what I'd go to.
Yeah. And it's like I get it. Like star power, like overwhelming star power can get obnoxious for like teams that don't have it. But I mean, it's kind of why like I think about it where like the state of baseball, it's like I don't envision us really talking about baseball like the major awards and like making our picks because it's just not a contest. Like outside of maybe the AL MVP, which again, big dumper, super exciting, super marketable, has like gained attention. But it's like outside of that, it's like Shohei's the clear NL MVP, Skeens is the clear NL Cy Young, Skubal's the clear AL Cy Young. It's like there's really no contest. Like the stars are like superstars. We're in a really cool era of baseball. I'm super excited to see where it goes. But
Yeah, now we just have to wait.
yeah, yeah. Now we have to wait the offseason and hope that both the Pirates, Tigers get better, do stuff to make the playoffs next year. I mean, the Cardinals are in a rebuild, so I'm gonna be waiting a long time for them. But I will enjoy the Pirates and Tigers baseball in the meantime. Hope the Giants enter a good era. Yeah, and honestly, baseball is just one of those things where it's just fun to watch. So yeah, that's us. We'll be back after a short break with our picks for the NFL. Peace. And we're back with the rest of our episode. During our break, I just saw a reel recounting Auburn upsetting Alabama with the returning the failed field goal attempt. I remember that game back. So good. And that's the beauty about college football is you can have upsets. You can have dynasties get completely upset out of the blue. Doesn't ha It's hard to happen, but it's not impossible to happen. So speaking of college football, before we get into our picks, we want to talk about Ohio State today. Ohio State has been the clear number one team this entire season. Um, they look destined almost to repeat as national champions. So we want to talk about which team is the most likely to upset Ohio State. Eli, you have the floor.
I'm going to keep it plain and simple, looking at who I know they're going to play. The Michigan Wolverines are going to, they're the most likely to upset because, I could be like, oh, we're going to look in the playoffs. Do I think teams like Indiana, Texas A&M, these couple teams, heck, even Notre Dame, I think is the sleepy one. They lost their first two games. They've rattled six in a row. In a similar position where they have a freshman quarterback as well and a younger core. But I do think, me personally, I do think Notre Dame has arguably the best player in college football, and Jeremiah Love, who will be an interesting prospect. But I think Michigan, because I know they're going to play each other in the game. The team down south. Um, Michigan has Ryan Day's number. I mean, it's gotten to the point where they haven't beaten him in a long time. Like we're talking pre-COVID, the last time that Ohio State has managed to beat Michigan. And you were like, oh, why? Like clearly Ohio State's better. Why would you say that? Like, why would you say they're the most likely? This rivalry has this weird thing where they swing and like Ohio State dominated Michigan with Urban Meyer. I mean, even a bit before that, like it wasn't even close. Like I was watching every year knowing unless something miraculous happened, or if Ohio State gets marked as a first down when it isn't one. I mean, they're in the driver's seat every time. And I think it switched and I think the sample size of last year when Michigan threw for 80 yards total and beat the Ohio State team that won the national title. I don't know why you wouldn't pick Michigan this year. Just they don't have Justice Haynes likely, but they have two dynamic rushers still, and Bryce Underwood as a quarterback, and then Jordan Marshall, who's considered a redshirt freshman, and a better receiving core this year. I don't know. I can't. Ohio State, I think, is better this year, but I don't see how Michigan isn't better. And Michigan has been like overly impressive. Like if you've watched Michigan's games, not great, but once the rivalry's there, like everything's aside, I'm going Michigan. I know they're going to play. I don't see why. I think for clicks, you got to say Michigan because Michigan kind of owns Ryan Day.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. I mean, if I'm gonna pick any team that's gonna upset Ohio State, it's Michigan. They just have they to your point, yeah, they have they. I mean, even when even with last year, like post John Harbaugh, post JJ McCarthy, they still won. So it's like, yeah, I mean, till Michigan loses again, like yeah, you got to pick Michigan. If I were to pick a team in terms of like upsetting them for like the national championship. The most likely, I think I would lean Indiana right now, um, just because I think you can make the argument Julian Saint's the best quarterback in college football right now, but I think up there in that conversation, if not second best, would be Fernando Mendoza. And I mean, football is just a quarterback-driven game, and to go toe to toe, I mean, I still think obviously Ohio State would be favored, but we're talking about most likely here. I would say Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers, man. They're an exciting team. I'm a little sad that Mendoza's performed this well because he was preseason mocked to the Steelers a lot. Like that was a thing that was being thrown out there, and now he's probably going to go to like the Jets or the Browns or something like that, or like the Saints maybe.
Mhm.
So little sad about that, but yeah, he's fun to watch. I I like USC. I don't think USC is going to do can upset Ohio State. I just like USC though, but I just wanted to throw them out there just cause.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Indiana and like the longer just because they have two good wide receivers to match Ohio State's. So they have Cooper and Surratt, two guys who are making a name for themselves as well for the NFL draft. Like they just have a nice veteran ran team. And Kurt Cignetti is, I just love a guy who just is cocky as all. Like he's like, look at my track record, I win. Like
Yeah,
talk about just an absolute, just like look at my resume. Don't like asking these questions. Look at what I've done. And it is like in football, it's a what have you done recently business. And Current Cignetti has one.
yeah.
So I do think that's an interesting one. Sharon Moore, I mean, he stinks in every game outside of when he plays Ohio State, but boy, boy, can he coach well against Ohio State?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think yeah, it'll be fun to start talking about the college football playoffs a little bit more as the stuff as everything starts taking fold and we start getting more definitive of who we're going to see. I like Iowa. I mean, Iowa's a team that could. I think Iowa could go beat the Ducks this weekend, man.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon hasn't played anybody, which is the kind of big thing. And when they did play somebody at the time, it was Penn State, and they lost. So, I
Yeah, which
mean,
yeah, oof. Yeah, Penn State has aged poorly.
oh, that. What happened to the Saquon days for them, huh? Oof.
I think we talked about it on this show too. It's like yeah, True Adler's probably gonna be like a mid-round pick now.
Yeah, I
Dude could
mean,
have been a
if
first
he's
round.
lucky,
Yeah, if he's lucky.
if he's
Oh,
lucky.
but yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. Yeah, let us know your thoughts if you think anyone can if you guys think that anyone can beat Ohio State, who that is. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of Michigan answers, just given our demographic. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can get into our picks unless you have anything else to comment about college football.
Now college football, kind of the college sports, it's getting to its pinnacle pretty soon, where the college basketball is going to start to get into its conference play. Because out of conference basketball play for college is, I don't want to say it's useless, but it's like there's not much to it. Like if anything, it's just a bunch of teams loading up on like wins to boost their resume. But college football, like once they kind of mesh, where it's like start a conference play right when the college football playoff starts. That's where you start to get excited for college sports.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the
So
most I've paid
that's when
attention
it.
to college football in a few years, and it's been refreshing to be back in the fold.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can get into our picks. Um, So we had Thursday night's game. Saw that you guys all picked the Raiders. I would have picked the Raiders if I had remembered to put my pick in. Forgot. We had the Quebec concert last night. On the way to the concert, I looked at my phone. I was like, football games today. Because honestly, all week I've had my days mixed up, man. I thought Wednesday was Tuesday, Thursday was Wednesday, but so yeah, missed out on keeping at least keeping pace because I need to catch up some ground here. So we'll start Colts, Falcons. I believe this is an international game, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's now they're doing two games in Germany to wrap it up. I believe
Okay.
it is
Yeah,
what
that's
it
what
is.
that's what I thought. So yeah. So technically the Colts are the home team. Doesn't fully matter. Um, they are minus 5.5. That's 80% on the Colts on ESPN. Do you like the Colts to rebound here? Eli, are you taking the Falcons?
Um, I don't love the news that DeForest Buckner went on IR today. I think that's a little concerning for the Colts in the long run. But I also think the Falcons are just a really disappointing team in the standpoint of they don't have a first round pick next year. They traded it to get James Pierce Jr. Um, and and their two defensive ends haven't really moved the needle for that defense. They've been better. So they're really disappointing to watch. I don't, their offense still has dynamic areas. I just don't think that they're going to put it together this year, if ever, with their current core. Uh, I do think the Colts rebound. I think they stayed in that game miraculously last week. I think they should have gotten beaten by more than what they did. So I think it's credit to the Colts for bouncing back. Credit to their defense, especially for keeping them in that game when they had six turnovers on offense. It's also just a credit. The Steelers will have games like that. But I like the Colts. I think they'll 5.5. I think they've proven to beat up on teams that are much inferior to them, which the Falcons are.
Yeah, I agree here. I think this was kind of a no-brainer for me to pick the Colts. I still think that they are a good team. I'm not buying the Daniel Jones reverting back to New York Giants Daniel Jones. I think you got to give a lot of credit there to what Pittsburgh was able to do against that Colts offensive line and also taking away the run game in Jonathan Taylor. They really minimized him. So yeah, I like the Colts here. I still expect them to be in contention for the number one seed in the AFC. Then we got the Bears at home versus the Giants. It's minus 3.5 for Chicago.
These defenses suck. Uh, the Bears defense is really, really bad. So I'm going with the Giants on this one just because I think this is another shootout. I think the Bears, I still don't buy the Bears, even though they're at 5-3. I just think that their play is not sustained. Like, I mean, I say that about the Broncos, though. I mean, remarkably, they're 8-2, and they have looked like trash for half of their wins, which one of them was against the Giants in that miraculous one. But I like the Giants, I think, just because I think they could at least, at worst, lose by a field goal. I just think Jackson Dart's been too consistent. He's kept them in just about every game. So I like the Giants.
Uh, I'm gonna take the Bears here. I don't. Again, I was higher on the Giants, like pre Scatterboo injury. Like I'm just they're just super shaky to me to pick. I like the Bears at home. I could see even if it's like a last second touchdown or something like that, you know, where it puts them up by just enough or something. I don't know. I like the Bears to win and cover here. Then we got a divisional game. We got Dolphins at home versus the Bills. Got a big spread here. Dolphins were able to cover last time. Do they cover again? Is -8.5 for the Bills on the road?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Dolphins got massacred last week. It was the Ravens game.
No,
Uh,
last time they played the Bills is what I meant.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, because I picked the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, yeah. Dolphins
Yeah, I
got
don't think it's
absolutely
big enough. I
massacred
think,
against the Ravens.
yeah, I was like, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I was very wrong about them last week. No, I'm not buying the Dolphins. Was the last week of thinking that they can at least contend with these teams. They're not. It's got the Bills are starting to come into their own again. That was their best game that they played all year last week. So I can't imagine that the Dolphins really fluster them. So Bills.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I'm always going to be hesitant to take a spread that big on a divisional game, but I do think that this is not earlier in the season. You have the Bills who are much more of like comfortable of who they are, much more like meshing together as a team, and you have the Dolphins that are actually kind of more falling apart. That is a absolute dumpster fire right now. There, I they probably should have traded some people, some more people than they did. Um, I don't understand that. And yeah, they seem a little aimless here. Yeah, I like the Bills. Ravens in Minnesota against the Vikings, -4.5 for the Ravens.
This one's kind of tough, but I have a hard time picking against Lamar. I think Lamar when he plays is just a premier talent, as we've seen, as you've seen a lot. He's just when he's on the field, he's arguably, if not the most dynamic player. And I think JJ McCarthy for the most part was good last week, but I do think he showed some shaky aspects. I do think the Ravens going to make it a race in the AFC North. And I do like them covering. I just think the Vikings haven't showed enough consistency for me to ride with them.
Yeah, looking at the Ravens schedule down the road, you can see why I believe they're still the favorite to win the AFC North. They at least were leading up to last week's set of games. They could easily run the table here. I mean, I think they lose probably one to Pittsburgh. Um, and then there's one more team that they play that I think they could lose to. I can't remember now. I'm blanking. But the last couple of weeks, even with Snoop Huntley, like they started to look more like the Ravens we've become accustomed to. I think that continues here against Minnesota. I know it's at home. I know Minnesota just coming off a huge win against Detroit. Again, it's a divisional game. Like those get weird. So I think the Ravens are going to start rolling here, and yeah, I could see them as a no. I mean, no worse than like an 11-6 team. Uh, I think they're definitely firmly in the playoff hunt. Hope they're not. Hope they lose, but I'm better instincts tell me to pick the Ravens here. Then we got Browns at the Jets. It is -2.5 for the Jets. People are liking the Browns on this one. Do you like the Browns on this one, Eli?
No, as long as Gabriel is the quarterback of the Browns, I still think Fields is a better quarterback than Gabriel. It's still a horrible setup for him, and he's also just not a great quarterback. But the Jets kept their offense intact, and I like their offense more. Even though the Browns defense is still pretty solid, I think the Jets, the players they got rid of were underperforming this year. Obviously, stars. They got first round picks. I do think they're set up well for the future. But it sounds like they're trying to go youth route movement the rest of the season. I still like them. I think Aaron Glenn is going to have his team fighting, so I think they're going to win this slog matchup. I won't be watching it though. But
I will
Jets.
not. I will not be watching this. I am also on the Jets here. Yeah, yeah. You get rid of Quentin Williams, you get rid of Sauce Gardner, which concerns me a little bit for this game, but not in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I think that the Jets should get their second win of the season here. I will say in terms of like pick standings and stuff like that, I don't particularly like that because then Cleveland would be ahead of them in terms of NFL draft. But at the same time, like, who cares? Like, Cleveland has yet to show that they can hit on a quarterback and assess quarterback talent in like the last like 20, 30 years, whatever. So I'm not overly worried. Would be kind of ironic to have the Browns picking first in with the draft in Pittsburgh. That would be kind of funny. Um, so yeah, I like the Jets here. I like Aaron Glenn to get a second one. I will say I do think that in my personal opinion, and I get the argument if people want to disagree with this, but I feel like the Jets trade deadline moves shows that Aaron Glenn will be here for another year. I don't think you make those type of moves. I think you're showing that you're buying into what he's doing and what he wants to build. And maybe I mean I don't follow the Jets closely, so I have no idea if this is anywhere remotely true. But it's like maybe players like Quentin Williams or Sauce Gardner weren't as bought into Aaron Glenn, so it's like we can move with them, move on from them. I don't fully know. I know that Sauce wants to win. I know Jared. I don't know. I don't. The Cowboys. It's just that was just interesting.
Well, if you're a Jets fan, you better hope they're buying into Glenn. Like to
Mhm.
me, that would be just a boneheaded play to then make all these moves and then move on for a coach. Like, but it would be on par. But
Yeah, you would need something like a Patriots with Vrabel like to become available. Like I don't know who that would be for the Jets.
they don't
But if
have one.
yeah, if someone like that was like available and they're like, we kind of well, it's and the irony is like Glenn is actually a former Jets player. I guess Mayo was a former Patriots player, but yeah, you would have to have like this irresistible coaching candidate to like be made available. Like if Mike Tomlin for some reason was let go from the Steelers, which he's not going to be. But then maybe you like move on from Aaron Glenn. But other than that, yeah, no. Next up, we got the Brady Bowl. We got the Patriots traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. It's minus 2.5 for the Buccaneers. People seem to be on the
The
Bucs
most
here with this one.
insulting line of the week.
Yep,
Most
I 100%
insulting
agree.
line of the week. I'm picking the Patriots. Like I could do all this analyzation, and the Patriots O line has been shoddy the last 2 weeks. Insulting though. I mean, they're 7-2, and they've looked like the way better team compared to the Bucks.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the Patriots might be my favorite in the AFC to win the number one seed now. After that Colts loss, I really like the Patriots and where they're trending. I don't understand this. I don't understand why people are. One, I don't understand the spread. Two, I don't understand why 61% on ESPN is for the Bucks right now. That just seems super insulting. I guess not everyone's bought into the Patriots. Maybe it's just denial. Maybe people don't want the Patriots to be back. Well, the Patriots look to be back. What will we? So we've been pretty on the same wavelength here on these ones. Just one disagreement so far. Will we get our second one with this one? We got the Saints traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. 84% on the Panthers. It's minus 5.5.
I will add, I don't know if that's a good thing for me if we're the same on everything, but we'll have to see on that. But I have the Panthers. The Saints are a mess.
So
Uh,
okay, we'll have our second
just
disagreement. I think the Saints lose, but I do think the Saints cover here. I think you get another week of Tyler Shuck getting to be underneath the hump. They didn't trade away Chris Olave. I know they got rid of Shaheed, but I like them to cover here. I don't. I mean, they could still lose by like 5 points, or whatever. Um, so yeah, that's my let me go out on a limb here. I don't like how much the spread favors or how much the pick, like the 84% on the Panthers. People, when it's been that big of a margin that hasn't been super successful this year. I know you got to take it game by game, but I don't know. I have really no valid reason to pick the Saints. I just got to try to win some back here
It's
too.
fair. I mean, they can pull out some games too.
Yeah.
Like they could be competitive. It's kind of hard to tell because Shuck, that was his first week of truly being in a full game. So
Yeah, for all
I
we
can
know,
see the
Chuck's going
reason
to be
why.
like the second coming of Drew Brees, or Derek Carr, and just balls out. Probably
Could
more
be.
likely
I don't
Derek
think
Carr,
so.
but
Probably more like David Carr, but
another spread I kind of don't get. We got the Jaguars traveling to Houston take on the Texans. It's -1.5 for the Texans here with CJ Stroud, I believe, out for this game.
I think he got ruled out after the initial spreads came out, which is probably why. Like, I bet it's moved at this point. Uh, but even still, I like the Texans if Stroud was playing, but I think I'll take the fact like it is a pick 'em essentially,
Yeah,
but I'll take the Jags on this just because I do like them trading for Jacoby Myers. I think that'll kind of balance out Travis Hunter being out. I think both sides of the ball they can play well enough. I still think they're a fraudulent playoff team, but I still think they'll beat the teams they need to beat.
yeah, I like where Houston was heading. I think that they arguably have the best defense. I would probably say they have the best defense in the league. Um, if not, it's like them and the Broncos. But yeah, with Stroud out, I think that the Jags win this game, which is huge for them because then it keeps them in the race for the AFC South. Then we got a big spread divisional game here. You got Cardinals traveling to Seattle, take on the Seahawks. It's -6.5 for the Seahawks with Jacoby Brissett set to be the Cardinals quarterback.
I mean, he looked great last week, honestly. I mean, it was against arguably the worst defense. I mean, it's between the Bears, Bengals, and Cowboys on the worst defense, and they continue to make it a battle each week somehow. Uh, but I do think I'd lean towards the Seahawks just because I honestly think they might be the number one seed in the NFC, to be honest. Their defense with Mike McDonald is fantastic. It seems like he got all his pieces he wanted for his defense in his second year and his quarterback. I mean, Sam Darnold's played unbelievable. So I'd lean towards the Seahawks just because I think they didn't look great in their win against the Steelers, but that was the last time I could genuinely say they didn't look great, to be completely honest. I think ever since they've looked fantastic as a team.
Yeah, which it's like it's funny because I think that loss has aged nicely for the Steelers. I think at the time we're like, how the frick did we lose to the Seahawks at home? This, and now the Seahawks look like they might be the best team in the NFC to your point. And now we're like, oh shoot, we we actually kind of hung in there, and then the Caleb Johnson thing was that kind of derailed the whole game. I will say I do think Arizona is better than what their record shows, and I think with Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback, they've looked a lot better too. Their offense just kind of meshes a lot better. I like them to cover here. I do think they lose this game ultimately, but I mean, to me, 6.5 in a divisional game like this with a scrappy team like the Cardinals, I like them to cover. I think Seattle does win this though. I'm picking the Cardinals. And then we got the Rams at the Niners. It's -3.5 for the Rams on the road. Niners were victorious in their first matchup this season. Does that repeat here, or do you like the Rams to come in and just take ownership?
I like the Rams because I think that they're up there with the Seahawks and the best in the NFC. I think their defense is really young and scrappy. Their corners are kind of an issue from time to time, so that might be the slight concern. But I like their offense. It's just really fluid. Now they have Puka back. I think Puka completely elevates their team as he should as a top five wide receiver. So I like the Rams. I think the Niners are a weird streaky type team just because their quarterback play with Mac Jones. I mean, it's volatile. That's what you get out of Mac Jones. Great backup. But I do think the Rams will rebound this one. I think it's a battle between it could be a playoff matchup based how they're both teams are going, honestly.
I, Despite all conventional wisdom, yeah, the Niners continue to kind of hang around there. I'm picking them in this game. I just think that they tend to play the Rams pretty well. Um, and it makes kind of no sense, like with all the losses on defense. But they were still down guys when they played the first time. They came out with a really scrappy win at SoFi, at Levi Stadium. I like the Niners here. I'm picking the Niners at the very least to cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually somehow pull out a win. I don't disagree with you that the Rams might be one of the best, could arguably be up there with the Seahawks, but for some reason the Niners just are hanging around, and I like them here. Then we got Detroit traveling to the Commanders to take them on. The Commanders minus Jaden Daniels, getting good news that he didn't have any torn ligaments. But he is out for this game. It is minus 8.5 for Detroit, 87% on ESPN picking them. Do they rebound after a rough week against Minnesota?
I do think they do. The spread's pretty big, especially a team that had the Lions number last year. Granted, it's a different landscape right now. Different Lions are healthy on defense for the most part. But I pick the Lions every time. Maybe it hurts my record. I don't really care. I'm picking the Lions just because I do think they will actually rebound. 8.5's a little scary, but I believe in the pride.
100%. I think the Lions are like that. They're petty enough where they're just going to run up the score after a week like that, like last week. They're kind of they
Oh,
kind of just degaff when it comes to stuff like that. It feels like so.
I've heard
Yeah.
I
So
got a
I
we got a pep talk from Chris Spielman. Me and Steve Malone, we had an event where Chris Spielman talked to us, and he was pissed off. So I think if he's ticked off, I can't imagine Dan Campbell right now. So little inside info for the fellas. Chris Spielman's ticked, the Lions are ticked. They're winning by 10 plus.
I'm going to take that a step further. They're winning by 20 plus. I'm picking the Lions here with like no hesitations.
Be a good payday if you bet on that.
I kind of
Because
want
I
to bet
bet
on. Speaking of betting, I've been thinking about just throwing a little money on like Rodgers to win MVP. It's like the payout would be so huge. And he's
that'd be
like,
one of those like I've seen people do those. They'll just throw this random money and just forget about it. I don't. It's, for one, that's a donation. I will say, like a Rodgers MVP is a straight donation,
is it if they
unfortunately.
run the
But
table and they win the number one seed in the AFC?
I think
Rodgers
it's a
leads the league in
donation.
touchdowns. I mean, Rodgers is up there with the league leaders in touchdowns right now.
I mean, I guess I don't think it's happening.
I don't think it's
You
happening
go
either.
for it though.
Becca, I put my life savings on Aaron Rodgers to win MVP. Ugh. Now we're getting to the brain rot hour of the show. All right, Sunday Night Football. Speaking of the Rodgers, we got the Steelers, SoFi take on the Chargers. Chargers here favored minus 3.5. Um, do you like that spread, Eli?
Um, I kind of do like the Chargers at this point. I like how they're going, but I do think the Steelers invoked defensive wise. I think they invoked a bit of confidence in me and their team. I do like how they played last week. I was able to watch some of that game. Um, I think them forcing turnovers was a welcoming sight. I think that defense, more than other teams, is reliant on that and relying on getting those turnovers, those big plays. They can operate without them, but I do think that is when you're seeing the best Steelers football. I would assume you probably agree with me in that aspect. Um, but I am picking the Chargers as of right now. I just think that their offense, not that they have Gaston going, and then McConkey and Allen are both McConkey especially has started to turn it on. Their run game is very inconsistent just because their offensive line is broken. But I'm going with the Chargers just because I think this could be an offensive battle. Um, and I'm just leaning towards the offense. I think is operating slightly better right now, and I think that would be the Chargers. I think they are out of their midseason slash early season lull that they went on there for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I am also picking the Chargers for two reasons. Um, One, because whenever I pick the Steelers, they've lost. So it seems to be working that I'm picking against them. And that also like kind of puts my eggs in multiple baskets, where it's if the Steelers were to lose, at least I win the pick, which, sucks. I'd much rather lose this pick and have the Steelers win. The fan, like, in all honesty, like, if outside of those two reasons, I would pick the Steelers, just because with Joe Alt out for the season, like, they're already down Slater. I do think that uh, is bad news for them. And to your point, the running game for the Chargers has been very inconsistent, and the Steelers have shown this year if they can get you in one-dimensional football, that is when their defense thrives the most, which I think is just a general rule for a lot of defenses, but especially the Steelers, if they can play the pass more, it's gonna open things up for TJ, for Highsmith, for Herbig, for Cam, for Harmon, just on the D line alone. And then you got the linebackers. You got Peyton Wilson last week making a lot of plays. Ramsey looked really good at safety, which he will be back there this week. Mike Tomlin confirmed. So I like. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another repeat of last week, where the Steelers get multiple turnovers, win by like a touchdown. Like that. That to me is I can see that them kind of coming into their own again. I will pick the Chargers for the reasons I said earlier. Um, but yeah, if the Steelers lose this game, I'd be a lot more concerned for the state of their season. But I do like where their defense is trending after the acquisition of Duggar, getting him in for another week, getting Peppers a little bit more involved. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna pick them. It seems also too that they're like starting to phase out Slay a little bit and use him a little bit more sparingly, which is much needed. As much as I love Slay and I love that he's a Steeler, I unfortunately it hasn't worked out as well. But yeah, I'm again Chargers officially, unofficially Steelers. Monday Night Football. We got a rematch of last year's Brazil game. We got the Eagles traveling to Lambeau to take on the Packers. It is -2.5 for the Packers. The people are not liking that, Eli. 74% on the Eagles. Do you agree with the people?
100%. The Packers are frauds. Not they are a good team. Like obviously week one showed that they can dominate the Lions. But their offense is weirdly inconsistent yet efficient. Like the numbers show that the Packers are an unbelievably efficient offense. They showed it like in the second half against the Steelers, especially that fourth quarter. They've had really good games, but then they had every way to win that Panthers game. They didn't. And they gave up their rush defense had some holes. They've given up the least explosive plays per game in the NFL defensive wise. So sometimes you wonder it's just unlucky or you just give up small chunk plays, which is easily fixable. But I don't know. The Packers haven't sold me these last month of football that they've played. I think they need to put a really strong game together to beat the Eagles that really have shown a really good month of football. Like I feel like these teams are in opposite spectrums right now, especially if the pass game of the Eagles continues to get going. Hurts kind of shut up his critics for now. So I do like the Eagles. I think they're back to being a really complete team, and I think the Packers are. They need to show me a reason to pick them, which they haven't recently.
I honestly, Eli, I think that this is a good pick for you, in terms of just your image branding, picking with the people. I think some people would view you as like a dictator, especially like in your fantasy football league. And I want the people to know that that's not who you are, man. You are a man of the people, and we see this with this pick. I, however, am going to go Packers here. I like the fact that they are at home. I do think the Eagles are obviously a really good team. They're super elite as a team. I think the Packers are just a team where they will have like weird losses, like obviously Panthers, Browns, but then you look at what they did against the Steelers. You look at earlier in the season against the Lions. So they're a team that's shown that they have the capacity to do that. I do like them at home here in a primetime game. Um, so I like them. I like them to win this one. So I am gonna not be a man of the people on Monday Night Football. I am picking the Packers, but I appreciate the fact that you are.
What kind of bit is that? I mean, I it, never. The whole dictator bit's got to stop. Four people have their name as something about me as a dictator.
I
Haven't done
can't believe it
anything
lived
bad
on.
this year.
Well, it's kind of ridiculous that it's lived on into this season, man. You haven't
People
even
just can't
vetoed
get
any
over
trades.
themselves. I I don't know how extensive. I don't know if we went over it extensively on this at all. I genuinely think it's one of anybody whoever agreed with that has to be the most brain dead people I've ever met, and I consider most of them my friends. But they got to be brain dead to understand. Like they got to get that was something else. And I tell you what, if Justin Jones watches this, which I doubt he does, if he does, you especially, I don't know if you were antagonizing or what you were doing. And guess what? He put up his little Twitter poll to his couple followers on his little band. And he still got outvoted, the side he thought. And so, I mean, guess what? The people spoke and the people decided that it was actually Justin Jones, JJ. That was the wrong one. So shout out you, JJ, but you were wrong. And everybody else was wrong. Thankfully, I had a couple by my side, but
I will say that there is a decent chance that JJ watches this. He occasionally will comment on these videos, so
oh,
JJ
I hope he
might
doesn't.
hear what you have to say.
Bring it on. I mean, honestly, his Twitter spoke for itself. So,
Well, hey, like
or X.
X. Well, JJ, if you are listening, you have an open invitation onto the podcast if you would like to discuss this with Eli further, as well as any other topics that you would like to discuss. If you want to talk about the Lions, talk about the Pistons, whatever you want to talk about, you're welcome on this program, JJ. Hayden, if you're listening and you want to hop on and debate Eli on this, I would love to hear that too. I know Hayden wants to get on the program. We'll have to
JJ's
get, get him on here sometime about something.
JJ will be too busy running his Mario Kart League to get on here. So,
Ooh, shots fired. There you have
no,
it. Balls in your court, Red Manor. Balls in your
I
court.
want him. I want it.
Eli wants all the smoke. All right. Well, Eli, you got anything else to close this out? We got like about a minute left.
No, I've already ranted about five different things, so I think I'm fulfilled my I fulfilled my anger temperament for the day.
Do you got an estimate for how many rants you got for us next week?
I don't have as much time from the episode, so I'll give it two.
Two.
I got to
Okay.
see something that really. I mean, this week was something. I don't know. I'll find something to be upset about. I always do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's it for us. We'll be back next week. Uh, looking forward to my beard being more back next week. You know, it's always a mistake whenever I shave it. I regret it instantly, and it's sadness until it grows back. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. You'll understand someday. I can see it starting to come in. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you guys as always. Like, subscribe, follow along. Until then, speak now or forever hold your peace. Peace.